Welcome to a very special edition of the indie releases for November 2025 because I'm on this one, which is a lot of fun. Let's jump into the list. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Kris, and today's video is the November indie releases of 2025. And yeah, like I said in the intro, it's a special one because I've finally got a book of one of these, which is still feels quite surreal. But as always, there are a lot of books on here, so we should jump in. And I will just remind everyone that these lists do not come from me. They come from two very special blogs, which have been responsible for much of my money being spent. And that is Rob J. Hayes over on his blog, also AJ Calvin over on her blog. I will have both of those linked down below. If you do have a book coming out before the end of the year or forevermore in the future, you can go ahead and check these blogs out. There are little sections for you where you can put your books up on them. So Rob J. Hayes is specifically for fantasy, whereas AJ Calvin's is a little bit broader and has, I think, horror, sci-fi, etc. in there as well. So you can go ahead and put your books on those lists, and then I will give it a video platform each and every month. But like I said, there are lots of these, so let's jump in. You are going to get the glare on my glasses because I need these to see. Starting us off with November 1st, we have Last of His Blood by Melissa J. Cave. This is book 3 of Empire of the Stars. It says, they have survived the war, the devils and each other. Now they face the long cold winter and the clamouring ghosts of a bloody legacy. I quite like this cover. I do enjoy most of Melissa J. Cave's covers of the series thus far. They've been really lovely with the cream background and then the black and little pops of colour. I think it's green on there, which is just lovely to look at. I have a very clear winner for cover pick of this month, and I will tell you that when we get there. Also on November 1st, we have The Rings of Mars by James B. Lynch, and this is a holiday-themed Christmas sci-fi, which is interesting. The cover's not giving me Christmas vibes, but I'm curious. It says, it's Christmas Eve in London, and Lucky Norwood has that most unenviable of tasks, working on a holiday. Her employer, Ares Andes, is the largest energy consortium in the solar system, and the computer mouse at her desk isn't going to click itself. But her plans and her life begin to change when a poor stranger appears in her office and takes on the adventure of 100 lifetimes. Who is this man who calls himself Damon King? And can he possibly get Lucky home in time for Christmas when he first has to make a visit to Mars? I don't know, interesting. Kind of curious about a Christmas-themed sci-fi. On the 2nd of November, we have Winds of the World by Corey Valley, and this is the Echoing and Eclipse book number 1. It says, it's the cycle of all things. Generation of women have climbed the 100 towers of serenity to hear the wind, and generations of women have received its words. When Jira hears nothing, she refuses to be named windless. Desperate for answers, she forces the wind to speak. Its reply is a song of what came before and what will come after, the scales that balance light and shadow. The heart of Windgari beasts at the centre of Forever Mountain, and the heartless who serve it are massing for battle. Jira can hear their heartbeat and follows it with the free tribes united behind her, descending on the island prison of Varmidar, where the struggle for their freedom begins. For Jira, this is only the beginning of a far greater conflict, one that will bring her people across the air and sea to join the war of two brothers. They would call it the Age of Madness. This is the story of those who lived it. That sounds like a lot of fun. This is philosophical fantasy, it says. Also on the 2nd of November, we have The Celestial Tears of Dying Light. This is a novella in the Song of the Sleepers world by Joshua Walker. Got a beautiful purple cover up here. It says, there exists a plane between this world and another. While the forefront war desiccates across Kiara, I can never pronounce that correctly, Kiara, an Aeolian sleeper is sent to the deep north of the continent to investigate what the histories claimed to once exist. Another population of tree dwellers. Meanwhile, a zealous priest seeks the most powerful magical artifact to ever be wielded, a creature known as Veil Piercer. There is something in the water. The land bleeds from its lungs. The secrets will break us all. I really enjoyed my time within this series and this world so far, so I hope people will give that one a go. On the 3rd of November, we have While We Bleed by Eric Lewis, and this is epic fantasy. We've got a very sort of epic fantasy cover here with the solo person across a night. But it's kind of... I was deciding whether I really like this cover or not, and I think the colour schemes are working for me the more I look at it. Ardana Sol was a true bastard. For a price, he'd get you anything, anyone, anywhere, and not ask questions. So when Baroness Fonseca hired him to obtain the last known vial of plague dust, it was business as usual. He should have known she wouldn't leave any witnesses. Flintlocks flashed, windows shattered, and his head slammed into rock. He escaped with his life, but not his memory. Dredged from the river by a kind fisherman, Sol recovers without knowing his past or name. Slowly he achieves what his ill-gotten earnings could never have a measure of peace. When the Baroness henchmen come to finish the job, his hands remember how to use a sword, even if he doesn't, and his violent past floods back. Determined to right at least one of his sins, Sol vows to stop the Baroness before she can unleash the weapon he bought her on a city he's grown to love. Sol's talents are put to the test in his fight back to Fonseca, but his greatest enemy may be how much of his old self he'll have to resurrect. Sounds interesting. On the 4th of November, and a very clear cover pick for me this month, is Godfallen by Tim Mayer. This is just stunning. I'm getting like 80s, 90s fantasy vibes. It's a little bit washed out with the yellows and the golds here, and those reds just play off this so well. The tagline has got me as well. I'm very into whatever this has to offer. It says, the gods have fallen and so will the stars. That's all I need to know. That line, that cover, I'm sold. Centuries ago, the old gods who walked Endilla vanished from the lands. The prophecy of the boy with the star-shaped eyes foretold their return. And now, 13 years following the boy's birth, the 5 realms are plunged into chaos, with old wars reigniting and new wars sparking to life. Ket Norlath has strived to hide from his past, but his new life is destroyed when soldiers ransack his farm and take his family. An ambitious king gives him a serve, his cause, and seek out the boy from the prophecy. Kill him or capture him, or watch his family say their final prayers. Ket chooses to walk a familiar path paved in violence and bloodshed. With the help of a homicidal court jester and a teenage witchling, Ket travels north to end the prophecy, restore balance to the 5 realms before the power that grows there ends them all. I mean, it sounds great. Also on the 4th of November, we have Chalice of Caladriai. Chalice of Caladriai. I hope I pronounced some part of that correctly. This is the Arcanium book number 4, and it is middle grade fantasy, and it looks like this. Quite cute for a middle grade cover here. It says, a desperate quest, an elusive cure, a team on the edge. This is by N.P. Thompson, if I didn't mention that earlier. But it is a series continuation, so we'll just quickly move on from there. On the 7th of November, we have The Father of Shadow and Death by T.J. McKay, and this is horror, and it looks pretty cool. I quite like the simple covers with like the gold edgings on the edge here, which looks lovely. Beneath the splendor of empires, there ever beats a poisoned heart. In the city of Namralda, a glorious capital of untold wealth and glamour, the people of Saramai live in exile, content but loathed, and ever dreaming of the homeland they left behind. Only a scorned arbiter and failed priest, Braddock Tuzian, knows the truth. That the lands they seek, the lands their ancestors escaped at great cost, are home to a fallen god. Hakaz, the Dark One, whose waking spirit nearly shattered Braddock's mind with a single touch, and now the wolves of the fallen god are coming for them all. A tale of grisly murders, monsters, and madness, The Father of Shadow and Death follows one man's doomed quest to save his people from a wrath of a vengeful god and the traitors who hound his every step. But woe to those who would break a man's soul, for the shame of the father begets the wrath of the son. That also sounds like a lot of fun, not so much for the people in the story. On the 10th of November, we have Auguries of the Past by Noah Isaacs, and this is Tales of a Rim book number 2, and it is epic fantasy / sword and sorcery. Another dream came and went, and they survived it. Barely. Also on the 11th of November, we have Ballad's End by L. Cyrus Wichel. Hopefully I pronounced it correctly. Apologies if I didn't. This is the Foreman War Chronicles book number 3, and this is romantasy. I quite like the pink happening on this cover here. We must stand united against such unrestrained animosity, otherwise we will assuredly lose everything we cherish. Also on the 11th of November, we have Dragon Bone Elixir. This is by Jordan Loyal Short, and this Dragon Reich book number 3, and this is a steampunk gas lamp fantasy. Delve into Wormwood's wonderfully warped mind and discover a secret of Thule Society the Thule Society would kill for. Also on the 11th of November, we have Ritual of Ruin. This is by Kel Cade. It is the King's Dark Tidings book number 7. This is an author I've been quite curious about. This is epic fantasy here. I think there is something in the lit RPG realm by this author. Don't quote me on that, but I am curious about reading something from them. This is a book 7 though, so this is the cover. I don't give any spoilers away. There's no little one-liner that I can take from the blurb, so we'll have to move on. Another one for the 11th of November, and this is my second cover pick for the month. This is Veil of Stone. This is Chronicles of Argosia, I probably butchered that, by Talia Beckett and A.P. Beswick. And I really like the Medusa hair here. I'm very curious about what's going on. Looks like we've got some historical references in the background with the stony greys, but yeah, I'm curious. The gods have fallen, monsters roam free, and survival is no longer guaranteed. Severus has lost everything. Alone and desperate, he crosses paths with the Slayer Guild on their latest hunt. Sworn to protect the people from Fae and other horrors that stalk the land, they offer him a place amongst them and a chance to start again. But the guild has secrets, and the next mission will test him before his training is complete. His first hunt carries whispers of a creature born from the spite of a vengeful goddess, cursed to roam the wilds, not the winds, and leaving its victims frozen in stone. The transformation is slow, creeping through flesh and bone until nothing human remains, and no cure has ever been found. Gods now walk these lands in mortal bodies, still wielding fragments of their power, and where they tread, far greater monsters are sure to follow. Consider that pre-ordered. On the 12th of November, we have A Stellar Spy by Maya Drajani. Sorry if I mispronounced that. This is the Children of Gaia book number 1, and it looks like this. This is science fantasy. Devoted mother and career woman, a sleeper agent poised to act. Tessa lives a double life. She's a security counselor to Finn, the leader of the planet. He's her ex-husband and father of her children. She's still in love with him. But she has a far worse problem. Tessa is also a deep cover operative for an enemy planet, and turns out her next mission is to betray him. After overpowered mages target and attack the seat of government, Finn wants to remove their magic completely, a brutal action Tessa can't support. So she does the only thing she can do. She contacts her handler. But every action she takes increases the chance of discovery. If caught, she can't protect the mages from retaliation or prevent future attacks against Finn and the children. And where her two roles collide, she must choose: fail her family or forsake her ideals. Also on the 12th of November, we have Rage of the Raven Queen. This is the Lays of Athwain, book number 2 by Andrew Levesque. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. This is epic fantasy / sword and sorcery. I will bide my time, I will hunt you down, and I will destroy you. Not me, that's just what it says. Also on the 12th of November, we have The Tides of Torment. This is Sea of Souls, book number 3, and I believe the conclusion to N.C. Scrimgeour's fantasy, which is folklore fantasy. I'm very curious about getting to this one sometime soon. You told me you would haunt me, Carid. You were right. On the 18th of November, we have The Man Who Hunts Death by M. Doyle. And this is grimdark / sword and sorcery. Everyone has to die eventually, even death. Gunvald's ability to see human souls made him the perfect candidate to become Death's right-hand man. His job? To kill the people Death is tired of waiting for. But after Gunvald delivers 2 damaged souls to fulfill his contract, Death takes the souls of Gunvald's wife and son in their place. Now Gunvald wants revenge. He's determined to kill Death herself, even if he has to take all of Enzen down with her. Sounds like a bloody revenge tale. Also on the 18th of November, we have The Promise of Scars by Ryan Lance, and this is the Red Kingdom book number 5. And I really like this cover too. I like the red coming through the cobbles with, looks like there's like an earthquake situation happening there and some magic, so that looks like a lot of fun. But it is a book 5, so we will need to move on. Also on the 18th of November, looks like a big day, the 18th of November, we have Kingdom of Lies. This is the Sunborn, book number 2 by Isaac Hill. And just having a quick look through that blurb, there's nothing I can really take there. I don't want to give spoilers away, but this is the cover. An author that I have been meaning to try out book 1 of. Another very cool cover that we have coming up on the 18th of November is Ashbound Oaths by Russell Carroll. This is the Prophecies of Zaroon, book number 2. Looks like an epic battle about to happen in this cover here. Bards sang of glory and gold, but never the price paid in blood. We also have To Conquer Death by Richard H. Moon on this date, and this is historical fantasy. Got some Egypt vibes with the hieroglyphics in the background here. In a world at the crossroads of myth and memory, the living and the dead are no longer bound to their proper places. Koshi and Typhon, brothers from ancient Egypt, grow up in the shadow of war and loss and swear to honor their fallen father and defend their homeland. Far to the north, a young girl named Doya watches her mother's funeral twist into a nightmare, one that convinces her that only fire can keep the dead from rising. 20 years later, the brothers, now soldiers in Pharaoh's army, crush an invasion from across the Great Green Sea, but what they took to be invaders are refugees. Among the survivors, Doya, hardened by flight and grief, bridges the divide of language and culture to give the brothers... There seems to be a bit of a sentence missing there. The dead are restless, the something ancient is calling to them. Charged by Pharaoh to trace the source of the rising dead, Typhon, Koshi and Doya embark on a perilous journey from the sun-scorched banks of the Nile to burned shores of Achaia. Together they uncover a truth older than empires, a game played by a god who has lost all mercy, where the cost of winning may be nothing less than their souls, their homelands, and the fragile balance of the world. On the 18th of November, we have The Dead Man. This is Menic Thorn. It's a novella within this world, and it's by Patrick Samphire. Becoming a mage for hire hasn't quite turned out the way Nick Thorne hoped. Sometimes you just have to take whatever job is on offer, whether it's a missing pet, a curse to break, or tracking down a cheating husband. Sometimes it turns out to be something else altogether. And if theft, murder, and blackmail aren't enough, there is a high mage involved. This is not what Nick signed up for. Then on the 20th of November, we have Alpha by yours truly, going by KD Marchesi as the pen name, which is Kris, and my surname is Marchesi, and this is science fiction. This is survival science fiction. How many lives will be lost for the sake of a non-existent war? How many people will be sacrificed in the name of genetic enhancement? When the lights go out at his father's investor soiree, Caleb finds himself thrown into a new world of horrific truths. Together with his old friend Argo, he begins to uncover the sinister underpinnings of Dr. John Murillo's work. Caught up in his father's sick experiment, Caleb will have to learn to cooperate with unlikely allies if he has any chance of surviving. At least I can pronounce everything in that one. Also on the 20th of November, we have The Devil in Mia by Jan... I'm going to butcher this pronunciation. I'm so sorry. Miklazowicz. I'm so sorry. This is a horror book, and this is the Heart Mouth Horrors book number 2. What a cool cover. I quite like the cover here. Simple but effective. Life is no bowl of cherries for the Smiths. Matt is a selfish prick with a drinking problem, and his long-suffering wife has fallen foul of a most unsavory guest. Now, this is a book 2, so I don't want to give too much away, but it's quite a short blurb. I'll leave it there, and we'll look at the cover here. On the 25th of November, we have The Sane Vessel. This is Spite of the First, book number 1, by Creed Parker. In a nation ruled by mercenaries, power comes at the price of your sanity or humanity, or both. Kalnan is a nation forged with blood and controlled with unstable elemental magic in the form of vessels, a twisted use of innocent bodies. Eslos is a shell, incinerating prisoners under a mountain to turn them into vessels for the mercenary houses, but he was once a great man. Oron and Zana are the only vessels not shackled to the wall, capable of immense destruction at the cost of their sanity. They have gained their freedom, but now must choose their path in a nation that is not their own and would rather use them as living bombs. The long-lasting peace between the mercenary houses is rotting, their oaths strain, and they will soon use vessels to scorch their lands and lay waste to one another. Eslos, Oron, and Zana will travel to the northern Great Lands, each with a part to play in the coming civil war. Will they fight to stop it, or ensure fire, lightning, and blood are spilled? That sounds great as well. On the 26th of November, we have Lost. This is Shadow War, book number 4 by M. Finley. And it says, a secret society in control of a technology that could alter the world's fate. And this is time loop / romance / sci-fi. Also on the 26th of November, we have The Serpent and Shattered Sword by N.A. Betts. And this is epic fantasy. And this is The Fates of the Arten, book number 3. Her breaking is only the beginning. Ominous for a tagline. And to finish us off on November 27th, we have Darkness Unleashed by Ballad. This is the Illyrian saga. Sorry about the pronunciation. Book number 2. This is epic / high fantasy and quite a beautiful cover here as well. Blue, gold edging, love it. Pop of colour in the middle with the image there. What would you sacrifice for duty? A good question to end this video on. Those are the releases that we have coming our way in November of this year. What are you picking up? Let me know in those comments down below. If you like the content, give one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will, and I will catch you in the next video. Ciao.